Shrijaya Singh. I teach English at CLATapult. Today we'll be dealing with factual questions or fact-based questions. These sort of questions are also considered the simplest of the lot. These are the questions that you would usually get in your school tests for reading comprehension. However, here the difficulty level would be higher a couple of notches. So while in school, questions would be more of the who, what, when, how, why thoughts. Here it's going to be slightly more complicated and you would need more practice to solve these questions quickly. Alright, so for those who are uninitiated, let's look at what factual questions actually mean. So factual questions are direct questions. These are questions whose answers lie directly in the passage. The answers are directly stated in the passage. It deals with specific details about the passage. It is different from inferences. Some of you must know what that is. Inferences are statements which are basically new information that is derived on the basis of the given information in the passage. However, factual questions are different from inference-based questions because here you strictly have to stick to what is stated in the passage. It doesn't have to be information derived from the passage or information ancillary to the passage or information that is unrelated to the passage. So this is what the scope of factual questions is. It is strictly confined to the text of the passage. Alright, now that we know that factual questions are questions whose answers are explicitly stated in the passage, let's look at how are the different ways in which factual questions can be framed. So one way is which of the following is expressed in the passage. So you will have a couple of options and you just have to see which of the following is actually stated in the passage. So of course, 2 or 3 of the options might be an inference or it will be something that is not stated in the passage at all, and so on and so forth. Then there could be questions stating which of the following is correct as per the passage, which of the following is true as per the passage, which of the following is the reason for dash to occur. So here they might just pick up any event that is discussed in the passage and they might ask you why that event had occurred. And the reasoning would be given in the passage. The passage might just tell you this was the trigger for this to happen. Because of this, that happened. That led to this happening. So again, it's dealing with a specific detail explicitly stated in the passage. Next could be, why was this example used in the passage? And then you would be able to see how the passage would, somewhere in the passage it would be written that the fact is that this happens can be seen in how X plays out, and X would be an example that they use. So these are the different sort of ways in which factual questions can be used besides the obvious of, how, what, when, where, why types. So what I've just told you is, an illustrative list. It's not an exhaustive list. This is not a full list of the different ways in which factual questions can be framed. But I am just trying to give you an idea of what some of the factual questions may look like because this might differ from what it used to look like back in school. Now that we have looked at how questions can be framed, let's look at how to eliminate options. So when it comes to eliminating options, you should start with eliminating all options which deal with new or irrelevant information. Now that you remove these options, the next step would be to remove options which deal with inferences. Inferences, as I told you earlier, are logical deductions based on the information given in the passage. So basically, you're deriving new information out of it. But of course, if it's a factual question which is asking you about what is explicitly stated, then an inference cannot be your answer. So next, you knock out inferences. Then you look for opinions. An opinion is different from a fact. So unless the opinion in itself is exactly stated in the passage and the option says something like X or the author feels that, and then they state the opinion, then this might be correct. But in worst instances, we will twist the information in the passage and present it as an opinion. So be careful about that. So we will also be knocking out opinions. Now, lastly, what you need to be wary about is distorted information. Sometimes there will be an option which will use some of the words that is also used in the passage. So then, the moment you look at that option broadly, you will feel like, oh yes, that's exactly what I read in the passage. I read something like that in the passage and you will go with it. But you will not notice the details of that option, the nuances of that option which actually make it wrong. I'll give you one example of it, which is the difference between possibility and certainty. Now, say for example, the passage talks about how X is likely to cause Y, and the passage just leaves it at that. But if the option says X causes Y, full stop, then here the option cannot be right. Because while the passage simply states that there is a possibility that when X happens, Y would follow, the option is making it an absolute statement, which is not what the passage is doing. So they're slightly distorting what the passage has said. So please be wary of this. Wherever you see, absolute qualifiers, say this always happens, never, none, all, do a double check here. Go back to the passage and see, does the passage say sometimes this happens, or does it say always this happens? Because this might make your option wrong, which on the face of it may have looked correct. I hope that this helps you solve factual based questions more quickly now by, sifting out options. So today in this video, we looked at what factual questions are, how they differ from what you did in school, how the questions are framed, and how you can go about eliminating options to help you move quicker through the passage.